Strobe Studios presents Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger in The Watson Files. Coming to you from the illustrious Strobe Studios in the heart of America, this is Craig Dahlen. And now, let's join the doctor and see what story he has for us today.
Come in.
Dr. Watson, I'm so glad it's Sunday at last.
Why is that, Craig?
Well, you've done an excellent job of making me want to hear how your quest for Excalibur turned out.
Ah, yes, that.
I can hardly wait to hear what happened. It's really left me in quite a state of worry.
Let's see if we can do something about that then, shall we?
Excellent.
Now, where were we?
Well, I believe that you and Spencer had just finished talking with Morgan Le Fay, and Holmes seemed to have a plan.
Yes, he often does seem to have a plan, doesn't he?
You mean he didn't have a plan?
You won't get me to the end of the story that easily. Let me see. You're really sure you want to hear the rest of this?
Yes.
All right. Well, after we had dinner, I went to bed, and from what I've been able to gather, Holmes was pretty busy through the night. I woke to a knock on the door, and assuming that it was Holmes, I jumped to the door. It's about time you got here, Spence.
Dr. Watson, something terrible has happened, and I have been unable to rouse Mr. Holmes.
Guinevere, come in, please. Let me get you a drink of water, and you can tell me what it is that is troubling you.
Thank you. You are too kind, sir.
Don't mention it. Now, what seems to be the problem?
There is apparently some sort of pop-in nanny language in the agreement that allows for the family Le Fay to request to view the sword.
And I'm guessing that it probably isn't good if you can't show it to them.
We would be disgraced, sir. We would lose everything. And when Arthur returns, he would not be the king.
That does sound unfortunate.
Unfortunate? There is no greater catastrophe. Dr. Watson, I do not believe that you and Mr. Holmes are taking this matter seriously. Perhaps I should consult someone who will pay my concern their due recourse.
I didn't mean to. Now, who could that be?
Watson, I've got quite a lot to go over with you, and we should not... Oh, well, good morning, Mr. Locke. I didn't mean to interrupt. My deepest apologies. Watson, I'll come back in a little while, and...
Just come in already.
Good. There really isn't a moment to lose. I must beg your indulgence, madam, but Dr. Watson and I have urgent matters to discuss of a private nature, and I'm afraid that your departure must be quickly facilitated.
But
Holmes! Guinevere came here with an urgent matter of her own.
I'm sure that I can't help with more than one difficulty at once.
But Holmes,
There isn't time, Watson. Good day, Mr. Locke. Off you go, then.
I think, Mr. Holmes, that you have made the matter of my decision much easier.
Fine, good. Glad I could help. Now, if you please.
Holmes, you should really know what that was all about.
Really, Watson, no time to waste literally means that there is not even a moment to spare. We may already be too late.
Fine. What do we need to do?
Thank you for coming around. We need to drink, and if we do not go now, the waiter at the Chateau Bellinote will give away our table and the rare scotch that I have convinced him to guard with his life until my return will be gone.
And that is what is more important than the case and Guinevere's concerns?
Watson, it's scotch.
You do realize that you've probably lost the case over this particular glass of scotch?
Don't be ridiculous, Watson. No one else is going to find Excalibur.
Why are you so sure?
Well, not unless they already know where it is.
Well, and someone must.
Good.
But who?
Why, the person who took it, of course.
Yes, but shouldn't we be trying to find them rather than drinking at 10:30 in the morning?
Watson, must I remind you again that we have precious little time to waste?
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Scotch, Watson, the drink of noblemen, a drink that when properly blended and allowed to become mature in a cask of the finest oak, becomes something like liquid gold. These barrels, it is said, were present at the wedding.
Which wedding?
I'll give you a hint. They were filled with water one moment. A man was asked to provide something more suitable for drinking at such an event, and the water was quickly transformed to wine.
You mean...
Yes, Watson, I mean exactly that. And if we miss this opportunity, I shall be perfectly sullen. My concentration shall be rent asunder, and we will not find Excalibur.
Fine, let's go.
Get your coat and your revolver, then, and let us make haste. Armand, tell me that we've arrived in time.
Had you even a moment longer, I would have been required to give up your seat. But as it stands, I have secured you our finest table, Mr. Holmes.
Excellent. I will see then that the photo that I have mentioned never sees the light of day.
Holmes, you blackmailed him?
Desperate times, Watson, desperate times. Our table, if you please, Armand.
I appreciate your discretion, sir. This way, please. Here you are, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Looks like your precious scotch is already here.
Ah, excellent. Sit, Watson, sit. I wouldn't want to drink alone.
Well, that's never stopped you before.
Not even your crassness can spoil this moment, Watson. We've earned this. Aren't you the tiniest bit curious?
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
There's a good man. Cheers.
That's good.
Truer words have rarely been spoken.
All right, you've had your scotch. Are you better now?
Yes, and I believe that our Mark is nearly ready to depart as well. Until we meet again, my sweet. Come, Watson.
You worry me.
I know.
Where to, gents?
This is your opportunity, Watson.
My opportunity for what?
To say a line that many men wait their whole lives and never actually get to say in context.
Which line is that?
Well, we're in a cab, and that blue sedan that's just pulling away from the curb is someone that we have an interest in talking to in a more private setting.
Oh!
Go ahead.
Follow that car!
Sure.
Well done, Watson.
Thank you.
There's an extra £20 in it for you if you make sure that they don't notice us.
Yes, sir.
They're pulling over.
That's far enough. Just stop here and we'll get out.
Whatever you want.
Pay the man, Watson.
Sure. Here you are, sir. I'll need some change.
There isn't time. Come, Watson. They'll get away.
Fine, just keep it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Wait up, Holmes. This had better be worth it. Just had to tip half.
If it isn't, then I'll reimburse you. Here, kneel down, Watson. I'll climb on your back.
What?
It's the only way I'll be able to see in the window of this building that our friend from the airport just entered.
You mean the guy who blew up the airport?
Yes, unless I miss my guess, I think we'll soon be talking with Mordred Le Fay.
Of course.
Now, if you don't mind.
What? Oh, sure.
There we are. Try not to move.
I suddenly find myself wishing that we hadn't eaten seconds of the pork pie.
He's in there.
last night.
Come. And keep your revolver close at hand.
What do you want?
We require Excalibur.
Then I suggest you pull it from the stone.
I'm pretty sure that's already been done.
I know that you've had a hand in the theft of the blade, Mordred, and I should like to give you one chance to put things right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll bet.
Your mother doesn't know that you took the sword, but I do, and she's going to be very unhappy that you cost your family their dominion over Arthur's kingdom.
Now I know you're lying.
All right, if you're sure, then I suppose that there is nothing more for us to discuss. Come, Watson.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Holmes, surely you have more in mind.
Give it just a tick, Watson.
Hold on a minute.
Was there something else?
What did you mean when you said that I'd lost our chance to be the rightful ruler of Arthur's lands?
Only that, well, just as there are rules that give you power if the sword cannot be produced, there are rules that deny you that same power if it can be proved that you were the ones that took it.
There is no such proof.
Except for the camera that clearly shows your brother removing the sword from the vault.
Really?
I had the delight of spending the evening with Mrs. Guinevere du Lac last night while you slumbered, and she told me of the security system.
Why didn't they mention it before?
Mrs. du Lac had thought to find the man using her own means. Her daughter took it upon herself to hire us. She was not aware of the photo.
This cannot be.
I have a copy here if you'd like to see it.
Isn't that Armand?
It is indeed.
So you lied to him about not showing his photos so you
There was a rare, almost unattainable scotch involved, Watson.
I'm not sure that makes it okay.
It's never against the rules to lie to a criminal.
But how did you know that he was my brother?
When I saw the photo, I thought it was you, actually. When I realized that it was not, I was able to quickly recall his face, compliments of my nearly photographic memory, as a waiter who had served me on a previous afternoon's trek through the city. When I brought the photo to his attention, he was all too happy to confess that you, at the request of your father, had devised the plot to locate and steal Excalibur.
You are surely a wizard.
Let us both be thankful that he is not.
Indeed. Though my powers of deduction have been likened to magic, I am but a mortal. Though I shouldn't be shy to suggest one of the better ones.
So what do we do now?
I have convinced Mrs. du Lac to abandon her concern with the matter if the sword is returned to her by me today.
That's generous.
No one is served by scandal in this case, Watson. Perhaps the relationship between your two families can finally even be mended.
I do not know about that, but I will return the sword to you.
A wise decision. You can always try again when Miss du Lac makes her move to pass along the blade, though I imagine it will be even better kept than it is now.
And by then, maybe it'll be our grandchildren who can put a stop to your plot.
Grandchildren, Watson? Is there something you're not telling me?
No, I just meant... Well, we'll be old in 32 years.
You will be old, Watson. I will be distinguished.
If you say so.
Quite. Now then, sir, the sword of legend, if you please.
Come inside. It's just here in the umbrella stand.
It is impressive. I can almost hear it thrumming with power.
Perhaps there is still some magic to it after all.
You know what they say, he who has the sword is king.
I'd make a pretty good king, I think.
Maybe I should hold on to that.
Come, we'll just go return it to its rightful owner, Watson.
That would be best.
So Spencer didn't have to resort to lying to Mordred to get the sword?
No, he just lied to Armand to get his scotch and then told Mordred the truth.
Do you think that the sword really was Excalibur?
I did get a chance to hold it for a moment, and I must confess that I had a sense of something while it was in my hands.
I guess we won't know for sure until Arthur comes back.
And that could take a while.
Or could it be next week?
I suppose you're right, but until then, it'll have to be business as usual.
That sounds good to me. So if that's how we're going to play it then, what story are you going to be telling us about next week?
I've been trying to tell you about Career Day for several weeks now, but you've been stuck on this quest for Excalibur.
Well, now that I know you found it, I'd be delighted to hear the story.
Good. Then that is what we will do.
Fantastic.
Outstanding.
Tonight's Watson Files adventure was written by Michael Helgens and directed by Scott Strosahl. Spencer Holmes and Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger. Additional voices were provided by Steve Rimpici and Beverly Mead. Until next week, this is Craig Dahlen saying good night from Strobe Studios. Well, now that I know you found it, I'd be deluged. Wait.
Deluged? Delighted.
Oh, it says deluged.
It was 3 in the morning at that point. Leave me alone.
You were a bit.
I'd be deluged.
Yes.
You were a bit deluged when you were.
I'd be rained on.
Holmes, Guinevere here. Guinevere came here with an urgent Holmes.
Don't be ridiculous, Watson.
Watson? You've
I turned
already
into Sean
Scotch,
Connery.
aren't you?
Don't be ridiculous, Watson. Well, we're in a cab, and that blue sedan that's just pulling away from the curb is someone that we have an interest in talk. I ran out of air. That's really terrible.
Hey, you wrote it.
I wasn't really.
I was wondering why you waited to send this to me until I didn't have time to read through it.
I can't even look at that line again.